extrajudicial killings, abductions, media suppression, and weaponization of investigative agencies for political purposes. President William Ruto, when he was running for office, said the previous regime, that was the end of seeing that. But we've seen abductions, extrajudicial killings, some even alluding to the fact that they've increased as opposed to the previous regimes. Where do you think this puts the president when he's going to give that address in terms of national security?
I know it's a big challenge on him, but as head of state, Kenyans are expecting him to give a direction and seriously an assurance that people are safe. Because he's the right person to talk about it. He can come out very clearly and direct the concerned agencies to have control and limits. Because if we are not safe in our country, where will we run to? If we feel we are not properly protected by the laws we have, where will we run to? And if judiciary is also feeling heat from the executive, I think the person who is supposed to bring harmony is the head of state. And I believe he is having the mandate and the authority. He can give direction if he is for the opinion today. Let him come out so that he can talk about it, so that we ease the tension which has been existing. And again, reassure Kenyans of their safety. Because I know if the security agencies are not controlled, they can run the sack. But that one would be very dangerous for our own people. So as head of state, judging from his election campaign and the promises he made, let him make Kenyans feel Kenyans are safe in his hand by taking control and charge on whatever is happening today and order some sanity so that people can operate freely without any fear. Arrests are not bad, but if you're arrested and there is a reason for arrest, let that reason be produced in court. We don't need to use an arrest as a tool of oppression. Let people be arrested so that justice can be seen. Let arrest be done in so open and a clear manner, whereby even me today, if I'm told the police is coming to arrest you, you don't run away because you think arrest is death. No. You should know very well if you have been faulted on something, that fault can only be produced in court, let's say in 24 hours. And you are given your freedom. You do things and you follow your case. But if you disappear, and even if you are produced without any charge, I think that one is unfair to an individual. Okay.
Well, the president, still on you, Tom, has been accused of interfering with the legislature as an arm of government. You're a legislator, you can speak to that with authority. He's been accused of interfering with Parliament, and now we're seeing these accusations in judiciary. Maybe you're not privy to what happens with his influence to the judiciary, but speaking on that issue on the presidency and the executive, by extension, having their hands in Parliament, what do you say about this?
On Parliament, I don't want to blame the president.
Yes.
If we fail to do our work as legislators, I don't think it would be right to blame the president. We have the law on our side. We know our mandate as MPs. If we fail to deliver as Parliament, and we say that the president is having his excesses on us, that's wrong. Even MPs who are from UDA side or Kenya Kwanza side, when it comes to Parliament, we know our role as people's representatives, and we are supposed to do that mandate. So by allowing ourselves to not do what Kenyans are expecting from us, then we start blaming the president wholesomely. I think that one is wrong. We have the right to do the right thing to save Kenyans.
Okay. Kimani, coming to you. I mean, you've seen these accusations doing rounds right there, the president being accused of undermining judiciary. But when he was coming into office, this was the first head of state that improved that judiciary budget by 3 billion shillings. And right now, fast forward to, I think, 2 years into his term of office, we are seeing a shift in his operations, and we're seeing the LSK calling him out, that we are having the executive basically interfere with judicial operations. Where does this place the country moving forward, considering the judiciary is our last line of defense?
You see, the conflict between the executive and judiciary is not about to end.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't started with this regime. And trust you me, it is not ending with this regime. And the reason is, judiciary will always hold its ground, demand that all the laws and the policies of the government be in tandem with the law. And as long as that continues, what it means is that at some point, the executive will have to suffer delays in implementation of their policies and projects, because the judiciary has so far stopped implementation because they are not inconsistent with law. Then the heat from the people, when you have your finance bill declared unconstitutional, and it is that on which you pegged to collect like 390 billion. You must feel as if judiciary is working in cahoots with your detractors to make sure that you don't achieve your policies and your manifesto. If you have a law which you consider very important and the judiciary tells you that this law is unconstitutional, again you must feel as if judiciary is working to stop you from achieving your manifesto. So as long as these exist, and the blame is on the executive. To expect the judiciary to lower its bar is again undermining the independence of judiciary. So what executive must do, they must firstly hire a very competent AG and allow the AG to work. So that anytime you come up with a policy that requires interpretation of law, the AG must advise you accordingly and tell you there are some inconsistencies in this your law as far as the Constitution is concerned, and somebody might challenge it and delay you. So the best thing then would always be ensuring that whatever you present to the people in terms of law is consistent with the Constitution, and it won't have to suffer delays when the courts decide that it is not. If harmonization is done to that effect, then the quarrel between judiciary and executive will be reduced. That is number one. Number two is about the vested interests that executive has in matters judiciary. If you have your friends in court and you want the court to be lenient on them on the basis that they're your friends, again, you will always find yourself in trouble with the judiciary when it chooses to hold its ground and find your friends culpable of whatever it is alleged they did. So, again, this problem is about executive. But we must also call out the judiciary for what we call dictatorship of the judiciary. Like what we saw them, the impeachment is a 100% function of the legislature. The involvement of
Kimani, you've introduced
just a moment. The involvement of judiciary should only when there is clear and underline the clear violations of law in the process. In absence of that, no member of judiciary, especially judges, should even attempt to interfere with the process that is purely the function of legislature.
We are coming to that point. You've introduced a new point right there. Now, in the wake of the collapse of the Finance Bill 2024, and also just looking at an education sector that is on the brink of collapse, coupled with the rollout of a new health scheme that hasn't necessarily seen its fruition. Of course, today marks a very important day for Kenyans, probably President William Ruto's biggest State of the Nation address, as Kenyans are in distress, waiting for him to actually listen to what he has to say. A big part of our production today is centered on what Kenyans are expecting, and it is on the same breath that we want to cross over live to Nakuru and join our reporter, that is Mumbi Wambugu, who's on standby with a couple of Nakuru residents just to hear what they have to say. Mumbi, morning. What are the people saying?
And the reality on the ground, especially here in Nakuru County, is that the residents seem so dissatisfied with the current regime, just raising quite a number of issues regarding the education sector, the health sector. But since I have the residents here with me, it would be good if this comes from the horse's mouth. As you can see, I am standing along the Nakuru-Nairobi highway, where some of the residents are joining me, and let's get to hear what they have to say. Good morning. Utatueleza jina lako, tell us what you do here in Nakuru County, and today the president is expected to have a State of the Nation address. What would you want him to address? What is so burning to you as a Kenyan and as a common mwananchi?
Thank you. My name is Kennedy Wainaina. In Nakuru, I'm an online driver. I represent drivers too. And in today's national address by the president, I feel like it will have no impact. It will have no change because we have been used since he got into power since 2022. We have been used into empty promises, each and every day empty promises. But when it comes to fulfillment, nothing has been done. Nothing is being implemented. As we go around to the country, no project has been implemented. We have only seen him making promises after promises. Each and every county promises after every promise. So we know whatever he will discuss today at the National Assembly, it will have no impact. Because I personally, as a Kenyan, I would like the president to address the issue of insecurity. In the past few months, we have seen very many young ladies dying. But who is accountable for the deaths of these young women and young daughters? We have no accountability. The security sector in our country is deteriorated. It has no cause to give the Kenyans directions as to why. Why are we having so many killings of our young people? During the Gen Z protest, we saw very many young people. They were killed in broad daylight. Some were shot directly by our officers. Who was held accountable? Who was responsible for the deaths of these people? Noting well that after the Gen Z protest, we heard what the president, and that was the true color of our president. The first address of the president of the Gen Z's protest. That shows the true identity, the true colors of our president. Also, I'd like the president today to address the issue of corruption. In our country, we have seen corruption from each and every side, left, right, and center. Corruption is going round and round and round, but nobody is held accountable. Our resources are going down to the drain, but nobody is addressing the issue. The president himself, he cannot address the issues of corruption. We have seen our MPs. They are stealing our money that is supposed to fund our project, our money that is supposed to fund our education sector. We want to see the president address how will you curb down the corruption that we are seeing in our country. As we speak right now, nothing is happening. Come to the county government, nothing is happening. Our governors are complaining, they have no money, but we are paying very high taxes. Where are this money going to? Where is the president and the cabinet secretaries? Where are they directing these taxes that they are collecting from us? We want to see accountability. We want to see all those corrupt leaders that we have. We want to see them being put into record. Let us know this leader has misused our money, because we have seen some of our classes, they are being built with 5 million, one room. How? It's not even logic. It's not. So I'd like the president address the issue of corruption. Also, the issue of health sector. We want our president to address this issue. So many Kenyans are struggling in our hospitals because the health sector has gone down, because the moment they scrapped off the NHIF, everything went down, because wengi wanasema hii kadi ya SHA na SHIF hazifanyi kwa hospitali. And I'm a witness. I've taken so many patients as I'm dealing with transport. So nabeba watu wengi sana kuwapeleka kutafuta matibabu. But these cards za SHA na SHIF hazifanyi. So I would suggest, Mr. President, ulifanya haraka mambo yako haraka sana kubadilisha mambo. Let us stick to one cause that will benefit the Kenyans, because SHA na SHIF hazisaidii. NHIF was the perfect deal ya ikifika ni mambo na hospitali.
All right, let's get views from another Nakuru resident. Tell us your name and what are your views and what are your expectations from the president's address today.
Okay, my name is Amos Momanyi and I'm a tax driver in Nakuru County. And personally, I just want to kuchangia kidogo mambo yenye president anafaa kuongelelea. For example, mambo ya corruption imekuwa rampant very much in our country. In fact, when the government ilikuwa inaitwa ilifanywa ikaletwa mpaka kitu kama governors, ilikuwa devolution, that is, tulifikiria mambo itafika mpaka kwa ground. At least kila mtu anaweza access mambo ya government, access roads, good roads, let's call it just the infrastructure at large. And so far tumekuwa na shida sana katika hizo maneno. Unapata MCAs wamepewa pesa, MPs wamepewa pesa, governors wamepewa pesa, na badala hizo pesa zitumike kwa kutengeneza ama kufanyia wananchi maendeleo. They just embezzle the money, the funds, and nothing that is, in fact, it's completely nothing. Kama ingelikuwa kama President Ruto angekuwa anatembea kila county, anafanya at least assessment ni kazi gani imefanyika na pesa ya serikali, at least kitu kama hiyo ingekuwa inasaidia. Things are not being projects are not being done, things are not working in fact for a common mwananchi anymore. And kitu kama address vitu kama education, wakati our former president Rais Mwai Kibaki aliingia, alifanya ikakuwa free education, and we saw many people go to school. Some of the people who don't watu wale wa chini kabisa, wale hawezi, kuna watu wengine hata hawana pesa, in fact hawana kazi, hawana pesa, na people want to go to school and they are not accessing the education because of lacking of funds. And at least wangeangalia mambo kama hiyo ya education, at least kila mtu, education ifikie kila mtu into the interiors and every corner of the country. Mambo nyingine ni kama mambo ya health sector. Health sector pia imedeteriorate kabisa na imerudi chini kabisa juu sasa sisi ni dereva na tunabeba watu wengi, tunawapeleka hospitali ama tunawatoa hospitali, unasikia watu wakicomplain sana. Kadi asifanyi. There before NHIF ilikuwa inafanya, unakuwa unaingia pale, ama saizi unapata mtu anaingia anasign nini, lakini wakati anatoka unapata inabidi atumie cash.
Thank you. Let's get a final view here. Just come closer. Tueleze majina yako and what is your expectations today? Just look at the camera.
Oh, my name is David. My expectations for today is that president atuadresie mambo venye uchumi na tufinyilia, venye mafuta bei bado ijashuka vizuri, vitu kama hizo. Yeah.
Unasema labda angazie mambo ya uchumi. Unahisi kwamba uchumi haujafika mahali ambapo mwananchi wa kawaida labda anaweza kujivunia?
Yes. Kwa sababu as we speak kuna watu hadi wanalala njaa as we speak saizi. Kuna watu wenye utapata katika idara yetu ya taxi unabeba hadi watu wenye saa zingine unapata amefinyiliwa such that hata afiki bei, na si kupenda kwake, ni venye uchumi nampeleka. So unapata mambo saa zingine kulingana na venye tulikuwa tunatarajia na mahali penye tumefika saizi, unapata hatuko mahali penye tulikuwa tunafaa kuwa mahali pale. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Alan. Those are some of the sentiments from the residents of Nakuru, and as you have heard, the health sector is dissatisfying to a lot of Kenyans, and these are transporters. They deal with they're taxi drivers, so they get to interact with a lot of Kenyans, and they get to interact especially with the residents of Nakuru. And some of the sentiments they are raising here, it is some of the sentiments they have also picked from the wider group of Nakuru County, so they represent the voice of many here in Nakuru County. My name is Mombi Wambogo from Nakuru County.
Very well, Mumbi Wambugu speaking to us from Nakuru County. Thank you for that update. Those are Nakuru residents speaking on the issues they expect the president to speak on. Just as I allow my guests to give their closing remarks, Tom, let me begin with you right there. You had one of the residents say your work is to steal their money and nothing is being done. They're not seeing any sort of developments. How do you respond to that?
You know, when you go outside there and you talk to Kenyans,
yes,
majority of our people don't know the role of being an MP. And that's why you can see somebody talking about MP stealing. Stealing what? We have nothing in our hands to steal. Completely.
Yes.
Because the money people are trying to tie us with is CDF. CDF is a very clear fund from the constituency to the CDF board in Nairobi. How the money is being channeled, how the money is being accounted for, up to Nairobi. I don't see where an MP is signing for that money, where an MP can lay his hand on that money. We can only talk about it, but the actual money we don't see. So if you talk about MP stealing, we don't have a department with AIE allocated to us. We don't have. So sometimes you ask yourself, what are we stealing? What do we have in our hands to steal? What do we have within our reach to steal from? Completely nothing. Because we are not even chiefs to sign letters for people where you can ask for something for the ink. We don't have anything to sign for. So this thing of MP stealing from us is far-fetched. It's not there. Our work is just to talk in Parliament, defend the interests of the people we are representing everywhere, whether it's in the locality, nationally, or anywhere. But we earn from our mouths. But when you talk about actual money, there is no actual money in our hands. We only talk and oversight what's there. So stealing, I think, is not there.
Okay. Tom, we're moving into the third year of this regime's administration. I mean, Kenyans were expecting a lot. I believe some are still expecting. The majority are not expecting as much. Even as you're heading into this State of the Nation address, any hope from your end in terms of getting to a better place than we were back in 2022?
I know as a country we have a lot of challenges, and the majority of them are economic, which are affecting our people. But what we need to ask ourselves, with all these challenges, do we allow ourselves to lose our country? That should be a major concern to every Kenyan. And if you ask me, we cannot afford to lose our country, whether we face all the turbulence and everything. Because with us united and thinking together, we'll fix all these things. The only advice I can give to our president is that let him not try to tackle these challenges alone. We have Kenyans and the country is ours. Let him involve Kenyans in trying to solve the problem affecting the country. If he carries these things alone, people will overburden him with the load which he cannot carry alone. He was elected to lead the country, and you lead when you move with the people. Let him accept that we have some talents in the country, we have leaders, we have Kenyans themselves. How do we involve them in trying to solve most of the problems here? Because you look at what's happening currently, people want to blame everything on the president. Everything. So I can tell him today that involve Kenyans in trying to solve their own problems so that you are not seen as a lone ranger. Because if you are isolated and seen as a lone ranger, this will make people to gang against an individual, which is very wrong. We should identify, because these problems are not starting with the root of government. Even Uhuru's government, the problems were there. And he inherited those problems. He started very well by explaining to Kenyans how he inherited all those problems. So let him carry Kenyans with him in trying to solve all these problems so that we don't fight an individual. We should see all these problems as our problems as the country. Then we sit back and say, how do we want to solve our problems so that we come out of it together as a country, so that we don't vilify an individual the way it is currently. Because like now, everybody is waiting. Like now, if you listen to Nakuru, everything is directed at our president.
The president,
Nobody is talking about us. We talk about him, which means people have given up and say, it's upon you If you want to deliver us from these problems, up to you. If you want to sync with us, it's up to you. So an individual cannot solve all Kenyans' problems.
Okay.
But if he can lead us into togetherness,
yes,
where we identify problems as our problems, I think we'll come out together as a country.
Okay. Kimani,
yes,
we're looking at a president with a very strong conviction in his way of doing things. And just as Tom has alluded to, not somebody who's necessarily too big on delegating, probably with the idea and the belief that he can actually do this job by himself. And Tom believes that just having a more inclusive sort of approach in terms of dealing with these issues could get him out of the mess that he is in right now. Do you think of that?
Yes, I do. The presidency is not a one-man job.
Yeah.
Especially running the government. It's a situation of getting the best people to work with. Underline the word best.
Best. Yeah.
Not people to work with, but best people to work with. Who knows their mandate and can perform the mandate very well.
Yeah.
And that is from the CSs, PSs, and everybody below them. There was wisdom in the requirement that we do have a ratio of 7:3 in terms of technical and support staff. The essence was to make sure that we had enough technical support, technical staff in all arms of government, all state agencies, all ministries, to make sure that they were well equipped with the people who can perform their mandate. The president needs to employ people who are capable and allow them leeway to work. Number two, in his state of the nation, the president needs to know that the article on which it is anchored, Article 132, he is supposed to explain to us the achievement of national values, part of which is human dignity, human rights, social justice, equity, and then we must ask them, even as he delivers the state of the nation, is he really convinced that we've achieved much in our national values? When we have cases of abductions, we have cases of missing people who are found dead. I think the president has a lot of recollections and mediations to do as a man, firstly, secondly, as a president. And what I might remind him is that he got his job through him endearing himself to the people. People loved him because he was this guy who came to us and made himself a friend of the people. I can tell you those who went to campaign against this president had a very rough time because he had won the hearts of Kenyans through openness. I think he needs to go back to his old ways, that of speaking genuinely with us. But while at it, he also needs to make sure that he does not put his interest and the interest of his friends above the interest of the nation. When we have perception that corruption is rampant in his regime, he must understand that politics is anchored on perception. If people perceive you corrupt, then that is the title they have on you anytime you come into their mind. So he needs to initiate and truly come up with ways to fight corruption in his regime. He needs to go back to his old ways of openness to the people. We are not his children. We are partners who can reason with him and understand where we are as a nation if we felt that there was true and genuine actions from his end to help us get out of the plight or the quagmire in which we are stuck. So what I may remind the president going forward, that he has time to still convince us on his goodwill, as he did when he was taking the office. But he really has to change a lot about how he does things.
All right. Okay. Well, you've heard it right there from Kimani Mwangi, a governance expert, as well as Honorable Tom Odege, who's a member of Parliament for Nyatike constituency. We've been at it for the better part of the morning, just looking at those different issues that Kenyans are expecting the president to speak on. At around 2 to 3 p.m. thereabout is when the president will be making his way to Parliament in a joint sitting of the National Assembly and the Senate, where he'll give that State of the Nation address. Quite a number of issues that Kenyans are looking at being addressed. Of course, health, education, national security, corruption, quite a number of issues that he'll be looking at. Will the president treat this State of the Nation address as the previous ones, where the heads of state came and talked about what they will do, what they haven't done? Or will this be a new and fresh sort of the State of the Nation address with more of accountability and recognizing those faults to foster a new way forward? At this point, I'd love to welcome and join my colleague Joel Chacha, who's been live at the Parliament precincts to take over. Chacha, what's the mood down there in Parliament?
Very good morning to you, Alan. I'm coming to you live from the Parliament buildings, where today, in line with Article 132 of the Constitution, President William Ruto will address the nation. The State of the Nation address taking place from around 2:30 p.m. Currently, of course, we are here just being standby to bring you the live updates as and how they unfold. The security has been beefed up this morning, even as there are anticipated anti-government demonstrations, just to mount pressure on President William Ruto to fulfill his promises. And so most roads that are leading to Parliament will shortly be closed, according to information that we have garnered from the police. But of course, right here, we'll still be having a set shortly. That is, of course, to engage several members of Parliament in what they expect in the State of the Nation address, which is an annual event. And interestingly, Alan, this time round, thanks to the broad-based government, the chambers are expected to be full, or they will be filled with members of Parliament from both the majority and the minority. Just considering that last year the minority members stormed out of the chambers just when President William Ruto had started addressing the nation. And so today, of course, factoring that there are even 4 former ODM members in the cabinet, it is expected that the goodwill in, of course, our politics this time round, that President William Ruto will be addressing, if not all, most of Azimio members of Parliament and as well as senators. What expectations actually, what is expected in President William Ruto's speech? One is the economic conversation, matters the economy. Despite even the budget chair Ndindi Nyoro yesterday differing with how the government of the day has been, of course, approaching the budgetary issue, where he says they are over budgeting, and that creates a fiscal deficit which now forces actually the government to overtax Kenyans. This comes at a time that there are about 6 bills on the floor of the House seeking to raise 178 billion Kenya shillings. That is to fund the budget 2024-2025, but already the preparations for the budget 2024-2025 are currently we are operating actually the next budget, that is 2024-2025, the preparations already on preparing it. And so, the word on the street is that how then, at a time that is almost 6 months or 7 months to the end of this fiscal year, that the 178 billion money bills are being brought to the House, then there will be a need again to bring a finance bill of 2025. That is being considered, of course, over taxation. But what I understand is the decision to reintroduce part of the clauses that were in the Finance Bill of 2024 was a result of the Finance Bill of 2024 being withdrawn due to public pressure at a time that Gen Z demonstrations were on their peak. And so that forced the government to withdraw the bill that forced, of course, a supplementary one budget to be tabled, where filled by these money bills actually is in what will be borrowed perhaps the government are just trying to cover that hole that would have forced them to borrow due to the fiscal deficit that had expanded from the initial one that was in the original budget for the financial year 2024-2025. And so President William Ruto will be convincing the House and Kenyans on why there is a need to actually support the money bills that are currently before the House. The 3-day public participation ended yesterday, where the Finance Committee just to collect the views of Kenyans as far as these money bills are concerned. And so that is a conversation that we expect President William Ruto will touch on at a time that, of course, there have been concerns also on the high cost of living. Despite what the government says the economy has stabilized, people are yet to feel the effect in their pockets. And so that, of course, will take center stage. Another thing is on matters health. This, of course, at a time that there is a transition from NHIF to the Social Health Insurance Fund, patients have been struggling to access the health services in various hospitals, and that, of course, has been termed even by the Catholic bishops as a good healthcare to the universal healthcare to Kenyans. So the whole issue and the concerns that are there around the Social Health Authority will also form part of the speech of President William Ruto as expected. On matter security, it is, of course, historical. The invasion by the Gen Zs to this house, that is the National Assembly and the Senate Parliament in general, where, of course, there were young or youthful Kenyans who were shot dead. President William Ruto had promised to compensate families of the Gen Z demo victims, but that has so far not happened, even as already civil societies are accusing the government of not coming out clean on what really happened, and cases of abductions that have been on the rise and femicide, despite yesterday, of course, having addressed the femicide issue with allocating a 100 million budget just into campaigning, of course, against the vice. Of course, extrajudicial killings